Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It has been a while. I'm in Montana now, and Alex is still chilling in Ohio. So
I'm
basically, what we're going to be doing
unfortunately
today,
I'm still in Ohio.
unfortunately, still in Ohio. Yeah. Um, Now, what we're going to be doing today, we're just going to be recapping what we've done basically in August, because it's been a while since we've had a show. I've been just getting ready for college, moving out to college, and some of the shots that I've taken are actually going to be from that trip out here. And Alex has just been doing work and school and yada, yada, yada. But we are back. One other thing that's important to mention before I let Alex a little bit is we're also going to be doing post-processing videos or just editing videos, going through screen recording, just taking an audio and just going through and showing what we do to edit a shot. I already have one of those recorded. It's going to be out soon after this one is. But yeah, so that's basically what we're doing. That's all I've got to say about this. Anything on your end, Alex?
Not really, just been doing a lot of school lately. I'm still trying to get out, but it's been a lot harder. So that's why you're not going to see that much from September or anything, and really just August. And right now it's October, but not that much here right now. I know you got some pretty cool shots from October,
I've
but
got
not
some
a
good
ton
stuff
here.
going on right now. Yeah. So how's like life in general? I mean, we haven't done an episode in forever.
Yeah,
It's been a long time.
it's been good. After I got back from San Diego, it's just a lot less birding and stuff. Especially because
Yeah.
school started. It's like I just started high school. I think I got 140 different species in just August,
Mhm.
and then 27 in September.
Ooh, a
So
little bit
and
of a
like
drop.
and that really sucks. Well, I don't think I submitted all of them to eBird, so it's been more than 27, but I only submitted 27 to eBird, and that's because I just wasn't able to get out. Except
Yeah.
for you'll see one like super good session out in September, not that much. I don't know. How about you?
It's been going pretty good. So basically first 2 weeks of college, I wasn't doing a lot of shooting. I was just getting used to everything. That was back in late August. But I found a cemetery to shoot at. It's big, like it's connected to two parks. And it's like this big cemetery that's really not touched that much. Sometimes people walk through it. A lot of deer in there. I've got a trailhead I've been hitting a couple of times. Haven't got anything great there, but it's really good potential. Just found a pond, like 30-minute walk down the other way from me. The cemetery's up that way. The pond's down this way. And I was just there about an hour ago shooting coots, actually. I was just doing a coot session. And then I've got a park that way that I haven't checked out yet, but it looks really good. Some things that have happened to me too is I ran into a mom and black bear with two cubs on the trailhead. I mentioned that on my Instagram. You guys probably saw that. But while I was up and the trailhead's outside the city, it's in the hills, which made sense seeing some bears. But while I was up at the cemetery, I didn't have my bear spray, and I was shooting deer for most of the day. I shot my buck, and then there was a little fawn and two spike bucks I was following, and then there was these two does I shot for a little bit. And on my way out, I look over to my right, and I see this shape just sitting there. And I was like, so I reached for my bear spray. Remember, I didn't have it. I was like, you know what? No, there's no way that's a bear. You're in the city. You're not going to run into a bear in here. You've been going here for 5 weeks. That's not a bear. And the last thought I had was that headstone looks a lot like a bear, though. And then it turned and started walking. And there was this gigantic black bear, maybe 60 feet from me. And it was terrifying. I was like, oh, that's not good. It was so close and it was dark. And I don't think it saw me. I just kind of just walked behind a bush and then just really fast just walked away from it. So that was fun. But I've been working on finding some more bears, and now that I have bear spray and everything and I'm prepared, they've been really difficult. But hopefully that works out. But yeah, so everything's going good. School's going decent. There are magpies all over the campus. Like whenever I'm walking to lunch, there's just magpies like in the sidewalk. But yeah, so that's basically all that's going on. Just been shooting a lot of deer, shooting a lot of passerines, recently doing waterfowl and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, no bears here. It's been covered in kinglets, though. I mean, like left and right, everywhere you look. Like, half the birds you see are just kinglets here.
That's not bad, though. I mean, kinglets
No.
are a good bird. I
Yeah.
saw one the other day, actually. I was working on getting one the other day, and it was not cooperating, but it was a ruby crowned.
Oh,
And
nice.
Didn't get any shots, but it was fun to see one of them. I'm just hoping I've seen 2 so far, but I'm just hoping for Stellar's jays to come out of the hills. I want Bohemian waxwings, white wing crossbills. So I think this winter is going to be good for passerines. And then I'm hoping for trumpeter swans and tundra swans in the winter.
This year's a La Nina, and this applies to both of us. It's going to be a colder winter and a wetter one. But for me and for you too, that means snow. So basically what that means is like in January, I think the average high here is like, and for you too, the average high is 34. But since it's going to be a La Nina, that means that we're looking at more like a high of 30. So what that's going to do for us is it's going to freeze everything. Now for me, that just like means that a lot of Lake Erie is going to get frozen and it's going to bring the ducks to me. Don't know what that means for you, if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It means my pond is probably going to get frozen solid. That's probably what it means.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a tiny, tiny little pond. I'm hoping it doesn't freeze over totally, but we'll see what happens with that.
If you get some heaters installed under it, you'll probably be fine.
That'll definitely work out.
Yeah. Today I started to see some ducks coming. I saw some like ruddy ducks, greater scaup, and some merlin. Other than that, it's been kind of slow. It's a pretty dreary day. But yeah, so you want to pull up some of the images?
Yeah, I got you. I'll pull these up quick. Need to start.
Also, guys, while I was pulling that up, I've been spending like a lot of my free time really running cross country.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Which has been making it harder to get out. Mm-hmm.
Is that working out?
Yeah.
Dope. All right, bet. Okay. Second. Guys, I don't want to sneak peek at what's coming on in the rest of the episode, but
yeah. So when I went to San Diego, I was basically convincing my parents to take me to this one mud flat. And let's see, I might actually be able to pull up a picture on my phone of it from space. But what this was is just a mud flat on the San Diego River. And there was a ton of shorebirds there. I mean, like a ton. It was flooded. So the funny thing is I didn't actually have any waders to wade out in this mud flat. Also,
none
here,
at all?
None. Here you guys can see it. There's the San Diego River. And I know it's really small on your screen, but just about there. So no waders for this. So I was like, well, I have a few options. And that's either I can just not go in the mud flat and not get any photos in San Diego, or I can go in with sandals or go in barefoot. So I decided to go in sandals, and that did not work. The sandals just get stuck in the mud, and you take a step up, you don't have no sandal. So I kept on like losing sandals, and like I didn't like I found them. Like I didn't actually just leave them in San Diego. Don't worry, I'm not littering. But like I kept on falling off. So I decided to just go barefoot. So this mud flat is literally moving around me. There's like snail shells just like laying around, and like dead debris, and like, oh my God, there's like bird crap next to me. And I'm just completely barefoot and like absolutely caked in mud. It was disgusting, but it was worth it. So this is a long-billed curlew. You can go to the next one. And that long-billed curlew got so close to me, I had to zoom out. And this greater yellow legs came up to me. I like just wait there, and they come up, and like I always wondered how people got these like amazing photos of shorebirds with like that short grass salt marsh in the background. And then I realized like they live in San Diego, or like they live in Hilton Head or something. It's like all you really have to do is get into the marsh, which is harder than it sounds, because a lot of that mud is sinking mud. And I got pretty deep sometimes when I took a wrong step. Can you go to the next one? For example,
what was the focal length for most of these actually?
Okay, so a lot of these were actually full, but then I did almost no crops on a lot of these. Like this Western sandpiper, very minimal cropping, took up a lot of my frame. You could see it's like not 100% straight, and that's because the cropping comes out bad if I were to straighten it. But yeah, it's like this, like there's a flock of Western sandpipers, and they were actually really hard to shoot, like not cooperating with me. But I just got all you need is one individual, and it was hard to position myself because the mud flat kind of goes down like this. So if you stand at the top where it's not quite as wet, like you can see this Western sandpiper is at the bottom where it's like just basically water. Well, I don't sink because it's not quite as wet, but down where that Western sandpiper was, I would sink. So it was really hard to get eye level photos because even just a few inches off is like really magnified when you're zoomed in. So you can go to the next one. I think I might have one more from this mud flat, or maybe. Yeah, okay. So this is Tijuana River National Estuary, I think. And this completely opposite side of the country. And this is also just another beach. And one of the things I was really excited to do in San Diego was photograph snowy egrets foraging for fish. Now, I did photograph snowy egrets, but mixed in with them was this juvenile little blue heron. And look, it looks pretty similar. I know it's not the same, but it fit my needs. But like he was like eating trash, and he didn't actually end up eating it, but he picked it up and like was about to. I didn't notice it at the time. And then when I got home and I saw it, I was like, oh, that's just sad. Like, we got to do better. I mean, that's like a rapper, and he kept on picking it up, and it's it's a juvenile. So you can really see that.
Just zoom in a little bit there so you can see that.
I mean, I'm glad I got the shot. It's like a really good conservation shot. And I feel like this is something that Audubon would really like because it shows the conservation. So this is what I'm going to try to submit to Audubon. So keep an eye out for that, guys. And then here's another one. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say I had a spot near me for these guys back home, and I just never went. I mean, every year they'd like just pop up there, the juveniles mostly. And I went like twice because there used to be otters there, and I would look for the otters, but I haven't been back since, which is kind of annoying. So I need to get back out there when I go back home for the summer. For sure. Definitely.
One of my main goals was to find a reddish egret. And this is not the best photo, but the reason I want to find the reddish egret is because that completes my heron list for the US, which means I get all the herons, egrets, and bitterns. So I go out to this one place where they've been seen, and I went there about 3 times, couldn't find it. And it's the last day, and we're like, we got to get up early the next day to catch our flight. And my whole family is like, we just go back. Can we go back to the hotel? And I'm like, I haven't found a reddish egret, guys. I just got the parrots, which I really wanted. I got a red-masked parakeet, which I really wanted because it was like my first like tropical bird, and also my first parakeet for my life list. And I was like, I need this heron. Like, I need it because what's the next time I'm able to go to see like a reddish egret? I think there's like 2,000 breeding pairs in the whole US. So like, you got to know where to go. And we pull up, and I'm like scanning the mud and scanning the water, and I just can't find a reddish egret. And I'm like, that's it. I'm not gonna be able to find one. Well, I scan and I find one on the other side of the San Diego River. So it's a pretty big river. It's on the complete other side. And you have to cross a bridge, but so you can just like cross a bridge, right, and get to the reddish egret. But the exits are weird. So it's a 13-minute drive to get to the other side of the river. And like, I somehow convinced my parents to take me, and I get this photo of the reddish egret, and like, this was taken at 900 millimeters.
900? Is that including like crop sensor? Or?
Yeah, that's including crop sensor. And then I cropped it pretty heavily. Like, that's crazy. Like, this was
like, how close of a crop are we talking?
I mean, it's still, I would say this is still probably like 2,500 pixels on the long end. Like, not so close, right?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, you can zoom in a little bit to see. It's like,
yeah, I was about to say, I mean, there's decent, detail and stuff. Still.
Yeah, it's not like terrible, but it was just crazy. Like, this was not meant to be. Like, I was not meant to see this bird, and now I got every single heron in the US. I beat Coop to it.
Nice.
Coop, you're watching. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I'm way behind on that. I don't have mean, I'm missing a lot of bitterns. I just got least bittern. Well, not a lot of bitter. I just got least bittern this summer, which was really cool. On accident too. I just saw it fly across a little little salt pan kind of thing that I watched for shorebirds on back home, and it just flew across. It was really late, and I was like, what is that? But yeah, I need to get reddish. They have them in Florida, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
inland, yeah.
Really not inland. No, they're coastal bird. So
yeah, coastal.
Northeastern corner of Florida doesn't have them, but then down around up the Panhandle has them, down around Texas, right? So like the whole Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
And then coming up the other side a little bit, you got a few reddish egret. I think the most northern place you can find them on the West Coast is Bolsa Chica. If you've ever heard of that. And
I have no idea what you're talking about, but
well, my West Coast people will know. Yeah, not many on the West Coast. San Diego is about the best place to find them because they got some short grass salt marsh there. All right, so if you can go on to the next one. So this is an acorn woodpecker. Now, something I love about San Diego has the most species in any county. 540 species have been seen just in San Diego County. To put that just into perspective, Ohio has had 438, which means more than 100 species have been seen in San Diego County in all of Ohio.
That's just the county, yeah.
Yeah. Now, one of the reasons for this is because it has like such a high diversity of habitats. And if you just drive an hour east of the city, I mean, the habitat completely changes. You go up into the mountains, and the most common bird goes from being like, I can't even remember what it was. Like, I mean, Black Phoebe was pretty common, but it was probably just like a house sparrow, right? Went from being like a house sparrow or like a pigeon or like a crow or something to being the acorn woodpecker. The mountains are filled with these guys, and they are loud. I mean, loud. Like this like squeaky kind of whiny call. In fact, I'm actually going to play it for you guys because it is crazy loud. And these guys are picking up acorns. They're storing them in the trees. Like really fun birds to watch. And
I saw some of these guys. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, go on. Well, I'm going to play there.
I saw some of these guys when I was out in California. I don't remember where I went exactly, but I saw a good amount of them. No good pictures because I was shooting with like a 300 and a D5100.
Oh, really? These guys were not skittish. I went to some campground. I mean, this guy was right up in my face, and he was like,
I was shooting harsh light too for like the whole time and like blue sky background, so it really didn't work out.
Also, here, listen to this. This is their call. I mean, the mountains were great. Like I stayed in California and San Diego. I was like a day and a half in San Diego. And then I go up into the mountains and I get like 11 lifers. Like it was a completely different set of birds. It was awesome. It was one of the highlights of my trip.
That's dope. What's your favorite subject from the whole trip?
You know, I'm going to have to go long-billed curlew.
Choose one.
I took so many long-billed curlew photos. I loved them. But I mean, there's some other ones, the phainopepla, and I didn't get any good photos of it, but just to like see a phainopepla and go, I saw a phainopepla, right?
Yeah, I got you.
I mean, up in the mountains, mountain chickadee, Steller's jays really annoyed me. They wouldn't let me get any good photos. And there's pygmy nuthatch. Yeah, it landed on a good branch, and I couldn't get my camera up in time. And I like,
yeah, I feel that really. Yeah,
pygmy nuthatch. I got my first Western warbler, like truly Western. I think I got the black-throated gray.
Oh, that's good. There was one that popped up by my house in Massachusetts.
Really? And did you go for it?
No, it was a long time ago. I knew some people that went for it though, and then it got eaten by a sharp-shinned. So
a warbler eaten by a hawk.
Yeah, or a merlin. It was one of the two.
Oh wow! I thought they were so small they're like immune to it.
No, it got taken away. But I remember it popped up. I'm pretty sure it popped up somewhere in Massachusetts, like more southern, down by the Cape, if I'm not mistaken. It was a long time ago. But yeah, you don't have Townsend yet?
I did not see one, not in San Diego. I only got one warbler, but anyway, I also like on the drive, I look up and I see this massive pigeon. It was a band-tailed pigeon. Couldn't get any photos. I'm on the drive and there was an acorn woodpecker on a post eye level. I freaked out. I saw my lifer California scrub jay and we pulled over for me to get a look at it on the drive, literally up the mountains. And I got my lifer Say's Phoebe on the drive in the mountains. And it was like eye level on a fence and we couldn't stop and like get any photos. You know how much that kills?
Yeah, I feel you. That's
yeah. So many birds up in the mountains. It was crazy.
That's dope. Is this the last shot that you got, or is there?
Oh, more? I got more.
You got more? All right.
Yeah.
You want me to move on? Ooh, that's nice.
So, okay. So this is from Ohio, actually. And a beach near me got like infested. No, okay, that's not the right word. A whole bunch of, so basically there's like an upwelling of water from the deep depths of Lake Erie. And it has like no oxygen in it, right? It's like really cold, has no oxygen. And it just killed all these fish, like a ton of fish just died. And they all washed up on the shore. And it's worst smell, like you can imagine, absolutely terrible smell. But with dead rotting fish, you know what that brings?
Birds.
Insects, right? And insects bring birds.
And yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah. So okay, kind of right. So there's all these semi. Yeah. So like a flock of like 250 sanderling popped up, and like 15 ruddy turnstone, semi-palmated sandpiper. Later, like I didn't actually get to see this because I was at school, but like black and back-bellied plovers, American golden plovers. Oh, really? I saw a semi-palmated sandpiper, but what was the main focus was these ruddy turnstone, because I got super close to them, got some really good photos. You can go to the next ruddy turnstone shot. That's sick. Yeah. My dad took me out for like some good light, and these ruddy turnstone are very uncommon in Ohio. When we have them at this one specific spot, it's like every year, if we see one, it's like about 2 reports of one report of one a year, and it's just like one on a break wall. Like, and I'm talking like for this one specific like area, like in northeastern Ohio. And then this year, it was really good shorebirds actually in September, and we were getting a lot of reports of them on break walls, but I knew I wouldn't be able to get any good photos, and I wasn't going to go like scan a break wall a half mile out, right? Like, what's the point of that? But when I figured out that there's like a flock of like 300 sanderling and like 15 turnstone, I mean, I flipped out. Immediately went and I like got I took like 500 turnstone photos.
Yeah. No, I saw 2 of these when I was out shooting back at my shorebird place back home. I saw 2 of them, and they actually had like some breeding plumage left, white on the face and everything. But they just flew. That. I mean, they were just cruising over the ocean. I didn't even get a chance to I just saw them. They looked weird. I took some shots and they disappeared into the distance. But speaking of the black-bellied you were talking about, I had one. So Felix is still back home shooting at the places back there, and he had a black-bellied pop up at the shorebird spot recently, which was really cool. I mean, you see them down the road from that beach in the salt pans and stuff like that, like a lot, from my understanding. I've only seen one there. It was in breeding plumage, full breeding plumage. But it was flying about 200 feet above me. So it doesn't really count. Yeah. But so I want to land some of those at some point. I've seen that one flyover, and that's it. But yeah, so he had one, and the reason why that place is so good, I think I've talked about that on the show before, is it's just like, it's the only place. I mean, if I want to get, most time, if on the East Coast, if you want to get backlit, you've got to go out early sunrise, right? Just like right at sunrise to get that. But here it's like a kind of a loop around, and it's like a bay, and that allows you to get backlit. I got semi-palmated plovers, I got pipe and plover, I've got sanderling, semi-palmated sandpiper, a bunch of stuff. there over the last couple of months before I headed out here, but definitely fun. I just want to get some of these turnstones though next season.
Yeah.
And I think you had one more, right?
I do. And I'm sorry, I'll try to be quick on this, but this is
Right.
yeah, so this next one, this is a semi-palmated plover. That's another bird I saw there because of all the dead fish. But this is what I have to talk about. So this is actually pretty sad to me. So all the you can actually in the background there, that like building type thing, that like white splotch. Yep, that's a lighthouse. All the birds on like this end of the beach with the lighthouse. Also, oh wait, I'm sorry. I wanted to close down my aperture and get that lighthouse in focus, but and the semi-palmated plover was just standing there. But then some guy like came and like scared it away. But but anyway,
yeah.
So they're actually closing the beach. Like they're closing like a third of the beach where all the nice shorebirds hang out. And that's to promote nesting for piping plovers.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's only been one nest in 83 years in Ohio in Maumee Bay. And so they're closing off the beach. And like that's gonna like stop so many shorebird photos of mine because like I'm not gonna be able to get any photos. Now there's still a way like here's the beach and like there's like coastal plants, right? You can go around and like see if there's nesting piping plovers, I'd be able to get photos, but like that's basically it. But it's just like upsetting to me because on the one hand, it's like they need like the piping plovers need this nesting habitat. But on the other hand, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna be. So
do you see piping plovers pop up, or have you ever seen one here, this location?
No. A few, like once or twice a year, maybe 3 times, a piping plover pops up in May, and that's about it. So the Ohio Division of Natural Resources is like, this is the best coastal beach habitat in all of Ohio, and that's true. We get a good amount of shorebirds. And they also said that like all the coastal plants, there's so much like rare dune plants, like especially for the Great Lakes region, just like really rare. And those promote the nesting piping plovers. So they're hoping they're going to nest here, and they're hoping that like they come, and they're like, oh, well, they have the opportunity now. You know what I mean? Like they'll see they have open beach.
They're going to permanently close down the whole beach, like even after nesting season?
Yeah.
Huh.
And that's what annoys me. But the thing is, I understand because people come there and they burn firewood and they're break up the dune plants. Like they're mean to this beach, I feel. Yeah. So I understand, but I feel if the piping plovers end up nesting like just next year, I'll be happy about it. I'll be able to get some shots of the young and stuff because like I can still see like the beach literally dips down like this, like of the beach, like dipped down like a wall before the actual ocean. And, of course, not the ocean, the lake, and the piping plovers would nest up high, and I'd be able to like get photos of them. And you can you can go down to the shore. It's hard to explain. Like there's the way the beach works, to be able to get to the lighthouse, you have to be able to get down to the shore. So I'll be able to shoot like this way to the lighthouse. Like I will be able to get eye level with some shorebirds. It's just a lot harder to get close to them. Like I won't be able to approach them. I just have to hope they approach me.
Yeah, I feel you.
But if the piping plovers nest there, though, that would be awesome, and I'd get like a ton of shots.
It's weird hearing about piping plovers being rare and stuff because back home, I mean, the beaches are just filled with them and the chicks and everything all the time. It's so. I mean, too bad we're not including. We're gonna do another episode later because I mean, we didn't. I mean, the last time we uploaded anything on the channel was like late June when I went up to Baxter State Park for those moose. So
oh my God.
between now and then, I mean, I had 2 really good sessions with a particularly bold piping plover chick. I mean, it walked right up to my lens at one point, and I got that like backlit with like the pink light and everything. So we might have to talk about that in a later episode. But yeah, so semi-palmated are fun though. I got a bunch of those this season later in the season, at least. You guys anything else to say about this one? No, and then I think you might have this one.
All right, I'm sorry, guys. Probably getting tired of me. This is an Allen's hummingbird. I'm gonna make this kind of short and sweet. There is a ton of hummingbirds in San Diego. I mean, if you go out and you don't see a hummingbird, like you'd be surprised. Like there was so many. This one was in La Jolla. And remember, if anyone ever texts you SMH, that just means so much hummingbirds. And that means they're probably in San Diego. So keep that in mind next time someone sends you SMH. So much hummingbirds.
The how many did you see when you were out there? Like species?
Species. So of course, back home only see one. I got the Allens, the Annas, and the broad-tailed. So I think I only got three
Nice.
species. But surprisingly, and this is not normal, but I saw the most Allens out of any of them.
Huh. I got Anna's when I was out there, and I think Rufus is the only one in Alaska, right? I think because
Yes,
I saw
I'm
one
pretty
up
sure. I'm
in,
gonna check that.
I saw one up in Alaska, but I didn't I have because I couldn't get like an ID or anything on it. It just flew really high up. But like
Yeah,
if it's the
where in
only thing in the
Alaska?
range, Anchorage area,
So yeah, it was probably a Rufus, like very good.
is that safe to call? Is that just safe to call as Rufus? Because like I didn't get
Pretty
a good look
much,
at it.
pretty much. That would be like me saying that would be similar, right? To me saying,
You seeing one and saying it's a ruby throated, I
yeah,
guess.
that'd be like me
Yeah.
saying a hummingbird flying and being like at this time of year, where like, okay, no, that's not true. I like me seeing a hummingbird in September, right? Where
Yeah.
sometimes some hummingbirds come up and me going, that's a ruby throated. Like probably
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I got you. I don't know.
mhm.
I haven't really called it yet, but I saw it a couple years back for sure. So there's a lot of them out here. Just I got out here too late because they started to leave basically right when I got out here, and I didn't have any feeders around. But I think there's Calliope or however you pronounce that.
Oh, those are so sick.
Those are awesome. I didn't get it, but they have them. They have another one that looks like a ruby throated, but has like a. It might be. Is it Allen's? I don't
I'm gonna
remember.
look.
No,
No,
they have a bunch of
Allen's does not look like a ruby throated. Do you mean
well,
broad-tailed?
no, it had one second. Let me see if I'm.
It is
This is the
broad-tailed.
right thing.
No, maybe. Here, does it look like this? Can you see me?
I can't see. Let me just look it up. I'm just gonna look it up. Hummingbirds. I'm like an hour from Yellowstone, so look up. Hummingbirds about Yellowstone.
Pretty sure it's broad-tailed.
Yes, they have Rufus, broad-tailed. Yeah, that's what I want to think about. It looks like just a really big. What was I thinking? If you look up hummingbirds of Yellowstone, there's a bunch of hummingbirds that are just not from Yellowstone. Yeah, it's broad-tailed. It just looks like a really big ruby-throated with a weird colored throat. But yeah, so that's awesome that you saw those. I haven't shot anything aside from ruby throated. I'm actually gonna use this slide. Are you all good? Because I'm gonna start talking. By the way, I'm gonna use this as a segue into the next one that I got. So I don't think I had it. Yeah, no. So in July, mid-July, I set out some feeders, and I ended up getting like 8 hummingbirds, something like that, maybe a little more. I had 2 or 3. No, it was more than that. I had 2 or 3 males, and then just a bunch of females. So I ended up working with them for about 3 weeks. Got a bunch of, just casual bird on the stick, just like standard stuff, portraits, yada, yada, yada. And the problem is also the minimum focusing distance on the f6.3 Sigma, the 600, like on minimum focusing distance, I just could not get that close to the hummingbirds because they're so tiny. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah,
yeah. Like I could get frame filling. It's just I couldn't get anything like, I had problem getting like a plumage shot or anything because they were just so small.
Trying to get a plumage shot of a
or just like a
my
straight
God.
just a headshot of it. Because what I did is I stood out on this footstool kind of thing in the rain, right? It's cold. I mean, it's still summer, but it's not warm. And I'm standing out there on this stool, just trying to be as still as possible, like 10 feet from the feeder. And I put a perch out on it. And he would just come in there and sit on the perch and look at me. But I was just like soaked. And the shot I got, it was just like the white balance was off and it looks weird. I'll try and edit it up. But regardless, this is a shot that I got right before I headed out to college. One I was pretty happy about. It took me about
it's awesome.
An hour. Thank you. I was relatively happy with it. It took me about an hour and a half to get. So I scouted it out the day before, and the foreground is hydrangeas. If you don't know that, it's like a big blue flower. But I scouted it out the day before. I was like, what am I doing? I should use this as foreground because I'd basically done everything with the hummingbirds. I mean, I'd done like, just standard stuff. I'd done more like artistic, like backlit, like bouquet and silhouettes and whatnot. So I was looking for something new and I found this hydrangea and I set up for that night. I didn't end up getting a shot. So it was more than an hour and a half. The next day I sat out there for an hour and a half in the rain. It was raining when I took this shot. You can't really see it or anything, but I was sitting out there just in the parking lot, and not the parking lot, the driveway of my house. And actually, the day after I scouted it out, the hydrangea, the plant that I needed for the foreground, fell over. So I had to tie it with twine. I had to tie it up so it would stay back in place where it was the day before because I scouted out this angle. And after about an hour and a half waiting of them just coming in like facing all the different directions I didn't need and just being at the edge of the perch, they faded into the foreground. I finally got her just sitting in the middle of that. That took a while for sure, but I was pretty happy. It was one of my favorites from the hummingbirds in general. I got a pretty standard flight shot of a male that I was happy with. It was boring, but it has a light leak that looks fake. It's just like a weird ball of bouquet that makes it look like a fake light leak. And then I've got some other stuff that I did with them. It was fun, but yeah, that's what I did most of July and then a little bit of August. And then now, as I said earlier, I'm going to college out in Montana. I'm about an hour from Yellowstone. So we drove out there from back home. So it was about a 9-day road trip coming out. And on the way out, probably my favorite stop that we hit was this great gray owl in Minnesota.
It's awesome.
I spent one morning. So, okay, let's see. We drove from, I'm trying to think. So we went from Massachusetts. I think we got to, I'm trying to remember where we got through. We stopped somewhere, but I think that night we stopped in Ohio or something like that, night before. And then that whole day we drove all the way out just to like Minnesota. And we got to the hotel at like 2 a.m., right? Because we didn't have any guarantee that this guy was going to be there. I mean, he was reliable, but I'm not super. I mean, some days he just wouldn't be there. And they said only in the mornings that he's there. I mean, the two guys we're with, they're like, yeah, if you come in the afternoon, he's just not going to be here. So we wanted to get this during the morning. So actually, the funny part is I got this guy. I got him in the afternoon. So that wasn't entirely true. Not complaining though. But so we got there about 2 a.m. I'm pretty sure I saw a wolf in Minnesota that night. It was too far ahead in the headlights. I've seen them out here in Montana and Wyoming, but it was a big canine. My guess is wolf, but I can't say for sure, unfortunately. But we got out there. That morning we went out with the two people and we shot this guy. And this is the most relaxed owl I've ever shot. I mean, I was at some points like 15 feet. I didn't care. I mean, if I was walking or repositioning, usually with a bunch of subjects, I have to be like, especially my white-tailed deer that I'm going to talk about in a second, I have to be like super slow and silent, because if I make one wrong move or just slip or something or step on a piece of gravel, they run or they get, jittery. Mm-hmm. This guy, I mean, I was just walking on the road, and when I was walking, he wouldn't even look at me. I mean, at all. God. He was just, and I at one point, my favorite shot, I didn't put my favorite shot from him on here because I posted it on Instagram. It's him with the sun. You saw that one, right? I think, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So when I was taking that picture, I was on manual focus because you know how well Nikon DSLRs do with backlit focusing. But I had him on manual focus, and it was funny because I only got that one shot where he was looking at me because even though, I mean, I was sitting right there, he wouldn't look at me. I mean, he just did not care. But he heard a rodent about 8 feet to my left, so he flew directly over my head. And I was on manual focus, so I didn't get any shots. But he flew over my head, hovered right above me, and then crashed into the tall grass right next to me.
Oh my God. He just like did not care about you, like thought you were like a rock.
Yeah. And it wasn't, and basically from my understanding, what happened is it was near Minneapolis. That's where, he had his nest and everything. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is he got hit by a car, not injured, but just kind of like dazed, rehabbed, and then they dropped him off in some like wilderness, and then he ended up making his way up here. And I think that's why he's so chill. There's no baiting that I've heard of. We didn't bait him or anything. Don't worry, we don't bait owls. But yeah, I mean, it was just crazy because that day I was shooting him and he just hovered right over my head. It was huge, like a gigantic great gray. And also, I think about 20 minutes before it took this picture on the screen, we had a black bear running across the road, right down the road from him too. We were driving over, just huge black bear just ran out in front of us. So had a pretty active couple of months with bears. So next thing I'm going to talk about actually on the road that we're on the road trip. This is 2 days after because we did a morning and an afternoon with this guy, and then the next morning, and then we drove from Minnesota all the way to south, all the way to like well, what do you call it?
South Dakota.
Badland National Park. Yeah,
Oh,
South Dakota,
yeah.
but it was Badlands National Park. And I was trying to find burrowing owls at this location. That's what I was working on. I did end up finding them, but shots are terrible. There was one right next to the road, but when we went to stop the car, the sound of the gravel in the car just kind of made him, he flew further back into the field. But while I was trying to find him, there was a bunch of prairie dogs and stuff I was shooting too. There was a badger that came cruising down looking for prairie dogs to hunt. So I didn't end up getting a good shot at it. But when we were driving down that road trying to find the badger again, I just see this huge, not huge, but like a herd of like 50 pronghorn. And they started, one of the moms brought, in the back here, you can see there's a bunch of like juveniles. There's about 5 or 6 of them in the herd. And one of the brought them back like towards me for some reason, like really close. I mean, like 50 feet. And then she started like snorting at me and like hitting the ground with her hoof, even though she brought them to me. And I was like, okay. But they just sat there. And I mean, they were so close. It was like frame filling portrait headshots, stuff like that. But it was a white sky, so it wasn't super interesting. But yeah, they just kind of sat there, stared at me, and then they slowly went back to the herd. And the ram came out over this hill, this big guy. You can see his horns and everything. And that was insane because I hadn't got to shoot a big ram before. Or I've seen him, in Yellowstone. And well, I was in South Dakota when I was really little and we saw some out there. But this was my first time being able to shoot a big ram. So here you have, there's 3 juveniles, I think, in the back, and then there's just gigantic ram. And he didn't really care about me. He just they walked around, then they disappeared. And then a huge herd of like 250 bison came in out of nowhere. And then the light was too harsh to shoot, but it was fun shooting those guys for a little bit. But yeah, and then on the similar topic, this is a whitetail buck that I shot recently. And this is from my current location. So I'm about an hour from Yellowstone, but I don't have a car, so I can't get to Yellowstone. I'd be there every day if I could. But basically where I'm shooting now is there's this big cemetery. It's not really, as I said earlier, it's not a lot of people going into it or anything. So there's a lot of deer in there, about 15 or 20, and they do not at one time always, but they kind of mix in and out. And a lot of the time, this is the biggest buck. He's an 8-point. There's a 7-point there as well, and then a bunch of spike bucks and whatnot. But this guy, I've gotten the deer pretty comfortable with me at this point. I've shot them in the snow. I've shot them in backlit, golden light. This is really, this is like a natural black background. It was super late in the day. This is almost full frame. He was just kind of walking around eating. They eat like, just the grass and stuff in there. And, but yeah, so this winter, I'm definitely, my goal is to just do a bunch of creative stuff with whitetails. And it's really nice to have this deer because, it's a good buck. It'd be fun to shoot creative stuff with does, but now that I have a nice buck to work with, it's definitely going to make things a lot more interesting. And then, you want to hear my great idea?
What?
So I do a lot of back home, I did a lot of print selling shows. What I want to do, I'm going to go shed hunting this spring when they drop their antlers. I'm keeping this guy's antlers because I just want them. But the 7-point, what I want to do, I want to take the 7-point, his antlers when he drops them. I want to take the 7-point antlers, and then I want to get a huge canvas printed out, right, of him, just because I've got some good shots of him too. And then I usually sell canvases for $150. So sell a big canvas, pair them with the 2 antlers, and then just sell it for $300. That's my plan.
That'd be actually pretty cool.
That's my plan. Just have them so you can mount the 2 sheds right up next to the big you know what I'm talking about. My brain's not functioning right now, but the big picture thing. Just put them up on the wall. That would sound sick. But I'm definitely going to keep these guys as this guy's sheds when he drops them. If he drops them in the cemetery, sometimes he's not there. And if he drops them outside the cemetery, it's going to suck. But I'm hoping he does because I really like to get these guys' sheds. And I think last shot I think it's the last one.
Yeah, it is.
This is from my second location that I've been shooting at a lot. And this was 2-3 days ago. No, 4 days ago, I think now. It's a pie-billed grebe, little bird. And
very
I've been
small,
shooting
very small,
very tiny little guy. So what happened was I just found this location. And actually, well, my roommate went fishing there and he was telling me about this pond. I'm like, I should probably go. Well, I want to go fishing there, but I don't have my license at the moment, my fishing license. So I need to get one of those before I do that. But he was telling me, I was like, oh, there's a big pond and stuff. And so I decided to take a trip down there. And first day I ran into some coots really far out in the lake. No good shots. I got one good shot I was happy with, but it's really more abstract. And most of the people I've shown it to can't pick out the coot in the frame, which really sucks because I love the image. But nobody else seems to like it, so I might just have to throw that one in the bin.
No, keep it for yourself is what I would say.
Yeah, I'll probably post it at some point. We'll see. But basically, next time I went out, I found a better place to get eye level where there's a lot of vegetation, and I had coots just frame filling right in front of me. I think I took 950 frames in this session.
My God.
Yeah, it was crazy, and the coots were just sitting there, and all of a sudden, too bad this guy didn't show up a little earlier. But all of a sudden, this just grebe just came literally out of nowhere, and just started chilling with the coots. And unfortunately, I ran out of storage right when he came. So I was sitting there deleting a lot of pictures. I couldn't feel my hands. I'm pretty sure I almost got frostbite because I was lying there with like my hands in the water essentially the whole time. Because I mean, I had my lens hood on the water, so my hands were in the water for the most part. And it was really windy on the walk home, and it was like low 40s. So by the time I got back, I could not feel my wrist or the top of my hand. But it was totally worth it because I've shooting this little guy for a little bit, and it was just so fun having a grebe eye level, And apparently earlier in the fall, and then I think in the summer too. I think more of these guys are at this location, and it's a small pond too. It's not big at all. So I'm hoping some more stuff pops up. Maybe some trumpeter swans, maybe some tundra swans, maybe some common loons.
Small little ponds.
Too. Yeah. I mean, they've been reported there on Ywppc.
Wow.
Loons been reported there. And I think because there's a lot of trout there. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the loons that I shot back in Maine, back in late June, early July, or mid-July, I should say. He was hunting brook trout. So there's a lot of rainbow trout in here. You just see them hitting top water constantly. So my guess is there's going to be some loons in there, hopefully this summer, because I'd love, I mean, the pond, I mean, it's not tiny, but it's not big at all, for waterfowl especially. So really hoping for that. But yes, this is a little guy I got. I don't know why it's dropping I don't know why it's dropping the resolution of it. I think that's just from transferring it from the card to my iPad to Lightroom to my phone, and then I took the file on my phone, fully edited, and put it back on here so I can put it in the album for the show. But yeah, and then I've got so many coot shots. And then tonight, as I said earlier, I was shooting coots maybe about an hour and a half ago now. Right before we started filming, I had to walk back from there, and I got some no grebe showed up, but I got some good coot work. So I need to edit those up tonight. And I just found my Ywppc card reader, but there was a bunch of sand in it because it was at the bottom of my bag for about 2 months. But yeah, so I'm going to keep working these 2 locations. I got the buck here, and then this, and I'm going to check out another park. And then there's that trailhead that I've been Ubering over to. And I'm hoping in this winter, there's a lot of deer I've worked with. And then this winter, I'm hoping to get, I also got bears there too, as I mentioned, but I'm hoping pygmy owl works out. That's my main target there for this winter because they've been reported on eBird in the winter. I got one in Yellowstone in 2019. So that's the plan. But yeah, so that's all the images we got. Here they all are displayed. I'm going to come back and just stop sharing my screen. Let's see. Stop. Everything good?
All right, guys. Awesome. I think I got to go to bed. So thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Ywppc, and I will see you guys next time. Cue the music.